Welcome to another edition of Inspired Stories, where leaders share their experiences so we can learn from their successes, how they've overcome adversity, and explore current challenges they're facing.
Welcome to another edition of the Inspired Stories podcast, where leaders share their experiences so we can learn from their successes and be inspired by how they've overcome adversity. My name is Anthony Codaspodi, and today's guest is Ben Wolf, founder of Wolf's Edge Integrators, a fractional COO and integrator service. Now, today's interview is special for a couple of reasons. First of all, Ben is the first repeat guest of the show. And secondly, today's interview is going to take on the form of an on-screen demo. See, Ben has developed a new tool that helps businesses understand what type of COO/integrator they currently have and what they need for their current level of business, where they want to go, and the timeline in which they want to achieve that. So if you are listening to the audio version today, you're going to get a lot of really great content for sure. But if you can make your way to a screen to see the demo portion of it that's going to come in a few minutes, you're going to get even more out of today. And before we get into all that good stuff, today's episode is brought to you by my company, Add Back Benefits Agency, where we offer very specific and unique employee benefits that are both great for your team and fiscally optimized for your bottom line. One recent client was able to add over $900 per employee per year in extra net profits by implementing one of our proprietary programs. Results vary for each company, and some organizations may not be eligible. To find out if your company qualifies, contact us today at addbackbenefitsagency.com. Now, back to our guest today, the CEO of Wolf's Edge Integrators, Ben Wolf. I appreciate you making the time to share your story today.
Thanks for having me on, Anthony. I really appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Likewise. So, Ben, a quick review for folks about what Wolf's Edge Integrators does. Maybe let's start with an explanation of what fractional COOs and integrators do in general, and then kind of move into what makes Wolf's Edge special.
Sure. Well, an integrator or COO, they go by different names. Some people call them second in command or number two. President, they go by many titles. That's the person who's responsible to run the business, to drive execution of the business and of the business plan, like towards the business vision. And regardless of whether somebody fulfills that role in a full-time capacity or a fractional capacity, that's what the role is, right? Is the person who's responsible to, it's on their shoulders, sitting on the accountability chart or the organizational chart, whatever you call it, to drive the business. And when you talk about doing that fractionally, that simply means that somebody is doing that on a fractional or part-time, non-full-time basis. And what's interesting, I don't remember if we spoke about this last time, but most full-time COOs or integrators are actually fractional integrators, right? Because the majority of them also sit in another seat or more than one other seat on the accountability chart, on the org chart of their organization. They may be head of ops. They may run special projects that they spend 80% of their time on. They may be head of product or CFO, or sit in some other seat or multiple other seats. And so when they're functioning with their integrator or COO hat on, they may only be doing that 20% of the time, where they're leading the rest of the leadership team, driving forward, company vision, reporting to the CEO, managing the rest of the leadership team, et cetera. That's only maybe 20% of the time. So actually they're fractional integrator too. They do have the advantage, though, of being full-time in that one business, which definitely has its definite benefits. But that's what a fractional COO is. And so our firm, Wolf's Edge Integrators, that's all we do. We do fractional integration. We take on that seat in the accountability chart. We just give people the ability to get someone of a much higher caliber in that role than they would be able to get if they were to only want to do that full time, either because they couldn't afford someone of our team's caliber full time, or because they just don't know how long it's going to take to find someone of that caliber full time, and they want to keep the ball moving forward or get the ball moving forward much sooner, and not have to be held hostage by just not having the right person in that role because the owner is forced to sit in that role, or somebody maybe who might be underperforming would be sitting in that role. So we just get you much faster to having someone effective, driving things forward in the direction you want it to go in by doing it fractionally. And I think you also asked what differentiates us from the rest of the world out there. I guess one main one main thing. There's a lot of great people in this space, a lot of our quote unquote competitors, because again, I think there's more than enough room for all of us. So none of us are truly competitors, which is why I put it in air quotes. But the thing that I think really makes us unique and stand out is the caliber of experience of our team. Is that well, first of all, we are a team, so that anybody who's working with someone, with an integrator or COO from the Wolf's Edge Integrators team, they're getting the brain trust of all of us. Right? You're getting 9 COO brains for the price of one, right? Because everybody's always coming every week and bringing up sticky client issues, coming up with multiple suggestions for multiple people's experience. But also experience, I would say, is the main thing. People that have owned or run businesses before, people who that are bigger than or of the size that you want to get yours to, and they've actually done before the things that you want to do, so they're not experimenting. It's not the first time. You're not a guinea pig, but people can you can just save time and frustration by getting where you want your business to go much faster by putting someone in that seat who's actually done what you want to do before.
What you're describing almost sounds to me like a built-in mastermind. Executives, business owners, they spend a lot of money to join a mastermind, to be around other like-minded people, to share ideas, to learn from. And you guys have that built in with that, your team of
COOs,
right? Your
right.
Team of fractional COOs. It's like you've got one person working on a client job, and they run into something and they're scratching their head on it. They can bring it back to the group and spitball, kind of brainstorm some different solutions. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. People love it. Our team definitely loves it. Clients love it. I had a CFO question about a certain comp plan. Is there a certain way to do a certain kind of bonus compensation for certain salaried employees that our CFO with one of our clients was asking about? And so it's on my to-do list this week to bring back a whole bunch of suggestions from the team back to the client, because that's the power. They've seen all these things. These people have seen, I don't know, decades and decades and decades worth of companies being run, and different situations that they've seen, resources, vendors to recommend, all kinds of things that we're all able to bring to bear for each other.
So quickly describe who is your ideal client. What's a good fit for you? Size, revenue, employee count, industry, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah. So our ideal client is people who are very ambitious, want to do big things. They don't want to just kind of manage the current state, or even do somewhat modest growth goals, or somewhat, tweaking growth goals. But people who are ambitious, that's going to be the best fit for us. People who want to achieve massive things, because we have a high caliber team. There are people who want to make a big difference, not just a tiny difference. So I would say ambitious business owners is one. People who want to do big things in their business. In terms of size and scope, I would say, people are, at 5 million want to get to 10 million on their way to 50. People who are at 10 million want to get to 20 on their way to 100. Those types of scale, or those types of dreams, I would say, is a good size and a good fit for our team. We have some that are smaller, some that are bigger, but that's a pretty good guide. And in terms of industries, mostly in the United States, mostly we have some prospects. I don't know if we've ever had any team members on the other side of the Atlantic or any on the other side of the Pacific, but that have actually come to become clients. But most are in the United States or Canada. We actually have one Canadian team member, so we're international in that sense. But we're basically continental United States, and industry-wise, we have a tremendous diversity on the team. So we've got people with a background in manufacturing, construction, franchising, professional services, home services, e-commerce, just a kind of a wide variety of backgrounds. So really, any industry would be a fit.
Okay, now I'm really excited to talk about the tool. And before we share your screen and have you walk us through what this looks like and what it does, let's talk a little bit about the inspiration behind it, right? Most good innovations come from trying to solve one or more pain points. What were the pain points that you were trying to address when developing this tool?
Well, so I have to make a confession, which is that we did come up with it from a place of pain, from a place of in the world, people think of like a COO or integrator, and you just think it's one thing, right? You're either a good one or a bad one, but it's just one thing, and there's one type of thing needed. And we were sort of operating under an assumption like that ourselves too, and it was actually hurting us. What we're going to get, the assessment is based on a discovery that there's really three main levels of integrator, and that each of those levels of integrator are a good fit for different kinds of businesses at different stages of their business's growth. And there's not one size fits all, right? It's just a question of which level of integrators or which fit for which business and which business owner. And we, of those three levels, just a little, spoiler alert for a second, is that one of those three levels is executive integrator or executive COO. And we realized, and our team was just executive COOs. Like that was, people that had owned or run large businesses before, and just had a tremendous high level experience running. Still entrepreneurial businesses, not just big corporate. Not big corporate, still entrepreneurial businesses, but much larger entrepreneurial businesses, and it scaled massively. Some from from 250 people to 2,500 people. Some from startups to to 100, 200 person $25 million companies. So the what we realized though is that there's different levels of integrator, and that we were like, by only offering one thing, just the executive integrator, we were not serving many of our clients or our potential clients. And so we realized that we were just like, we're kind of like wondering, like, we're so awesome, like we're like tweaking our sales process, we're trying to like keep changing it, try to see like, why do we have such a sucky close rate? And we're realizing that one of the things that it came down to was we're turning away a lot of leads because, oh, we can't really help them, let me refer them to somebody who can. Refer them to another fractional COO or another integrator, another firm or another individual.
Why couldn't you help them?
All we had was that executive integrator on our team. And if I come to meet somebody that doesn't need that, I'm not just going to try to sell them something they don't need. I'm going to refer them to somebody who can help. I want to
shows a lot of integrity. Yeah.
Right. And if somebody comes into my world, I want to help, even if I can't help them. I want to at least point them in the right direction. So we're sending some people away, and other people that are maybe more borderline, we just weren't closing, right? Because maybe they were really more for that mid-tier integrator, which we're going to call conductor integrator or conductor COO. We'll explain that more in a minute. But we're we just came to we're not closing them, right? Because they're talking to other people that are charging a conductor integrator rate, which is and we're charging an executive integrator rate.
There's a difference.
Yeah. And they don't really need that executive integrator, and so they're just going with somebody else. And which is understandable. It makes perfect sense. So we just realized that like we're missing something. We're just missing something. And so we started to ask ourselves, how do we differentiate, how do we differentiate between businesses and their needs, and how do we differentiate between the different levels of integrators, and then identify and match between the two, and like see what level integrator do they need, and like based on their own information, based on their own insights, based on deep questions that they can answer, not necessarily have to come to a discovery call with me to like spend an hour with me, but like just get that much more easily and quickly on their own. And then we could, if they come our way, they could just learn from that and find their own integrator, right? Or they could, with this assessment, find that out through us, and that'll just help us in our sales process to make sure that we help them in the most accurate way possible.
So a bit of a painful self-reflection process to go through to say, man, our close rate isn't where it should be. But kudos to you for, not sort of just sitting in the corner and sucking your thumb. It's like, what can we do about this? Like, what can we learn from this? Yeah. Like, what's going on here? And so that was the inspiration behind trying to fill in those gaps, right, with the other types of integrators. And then from that came the idea for this tool. So we can help prospective clients sort of discover where they are, what they need, what type of fractional they need going forward, and better be able to serve those folks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's frame this for the listener. Who is the intended user of this tool? Is it a business owner exclusively? Is it someone else in the company?
So this tool is meant to be used by the business owner. And it is meant to tell them to answer the question, what, as you said before, Anthony, what kind of integrator or COO do you have? And what kind of integrator or COO do you need to, if you want to actually achieve the results you want to achieve in the time that you want to achieve it? So that's basically the question it's going to ask. And when we do this demo in a second, I'm going to ask you, Anthony, to be, to be the business owner and think of a business when you answer the questions that we're gonna show you. I want to ask you to play the role of a business owner and have in mind some specific business and answer the way you think the owner of that business would answer.
Okay, you're going to put me on the spot. I like it. Make me think on my feet.
I mean, you don't have to do. You could, whatever. You could choose which business you have in mind. You've worked with a lot of people, but
okay. So will this tool be behind some kind of a paywall or require some kind of like special registration process?
No, it's not behind a paywall. It's just our website, wolfsedgeintegrators.com/assessment.
Okay.
So it's wolfsedgeintegrators.com/assessment. Anybody who's listening to or watching this can take it themselves.
Okay. So no other requirements. You have to have a certain number of employees or certain revenue size.
No, I mean, look, I would say if you're like a solopreneur or something or a very small business, like I think the results could be somewhat skewed, but so it's I would say people with with a business with employees, preferably with a leadership team of some sort, even if they might be underperforming, but there's some sort of leadership team in place.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it. Let's have you share your screen, Ben, and let's see what this new tool is all about.
I'll share this. So starts with a punchy question at the top. Does your integrator suck? And that includes very often a lot of people who take this assessment, the business owner is also serving in the COO or integrator role. Like they really have no other separate person doing that. They're doing it themselves. And so you're going to be assessing yourself when you wear that hat, if that's it. And okay, so we're going to get going. You're going to have in mind a business. I'm going to use your name. Did I spell that right?
That's pretty close. It's a T instead of a D at the end.
Okay.
There you go.
Man, I was so close.
You were. That's impressive.
I'm going to use my email so I can get the results and pull it up on the.
Okay. Why don't we call this? We'll call it ABC Daycare. I've been talking with lots of daycares lately.
Okay. Awesome. ABC Daycare. Mm-hmm. Let's rock and roll. And I will read the questions and the guides. It's like a lot of them are 1 through 5. So I'll actually read the description of what 1 looks like and what 5 looks like out loud, especially for those who are listening and maybe don't have the video. Or if you're on a small video, that might be hard to read if you're on like a device. So part 1, where's your business today? Where are you going? Do your best, exact as necessary. All questions are required for accurate results. So what is your annual revenue?
Let's say, I don't always get transparency into that, but let's say $4 million.
Okay. $4 million. What is your profit as a percentage?
Say 10%.
All right. How many people on your leadership team?
Let's call it 5.
All right. And how many people total in the company?
Say 100.
All right. Now, what is your number 1 goal for the business? Massive growth, healthy exit, escape the day-to-day, consistent and sustainable growth, like 2x, or working on the business, not in the business.
And so you want me to select 1 here?
Select 1, yeah. There's 1 question that has multiple, but this is 1. Your main goal.
I would say
your main number 1 goal for the business.
Yeah, I would say with a daycare, it's hard to have massive growth unless you've got sort of the capital to open up multiple centers. So I would say consistent and sustainable growth.
Okay. What is your timeline where you think you can achieve that, or you'd like to achieve that?
3 years.
Okay. All right, that's the demographics portion. What brought you to this assessment? So What is your current integrator or COO situation?
So I would say I'm the visionary, and I've got a different integrator. Which one of those options there?
So I'm the visionary and the integrator, or I've got a visionary I've got an integrator who's also wearing other hats.
I would say that one. Yeah, I would say that's pretty common.
Okay. And what brought you here? Here you could select multiple businesses. Well, maybe for this one, there's a lot to read, so I'll let you pick some as you read them. There's options A through L that Anthony is currently.
Well, I'll tell you what I see from a lot of folks, not only at this stage but even earlier, is that they don't want to oversee the day to day any longer. They really want to kind of take a step back and be able to work, on the business instead of in it.
Okay. And the other one you can select
multiple here.
Any
okay.
Other one that also fit.
Probably need more people who think strategically. I'm going to guess that in an environment like this, I've got folks that have been letter I there. I've got folks that have been with me since pretty early on that were real helpful to get to this point, but maybe don't have the skill sets to kind of get to where we want to go, which would suggest that K is also appropriate, ready to take an evolutionary leap forward.
Okay.
And yeah, probably L as well. We've tried a lot of things, and we keep bumping our heads up against the same kind of stuff.
The same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Halfway done. Here's some questions about your current business stage. What happens if you take 2 weeks off? Anywhere from 1, things fall apart and we go backwards, to 5, things not only keep going but continue improving.
Oh boy, if I've got a leadership team of 5 folks, I've got 100 employees, I take 2 weeks off, I'm still heavily engrossed in the day-to-day of the business, I would say probably about a 2.
Okay.
Probably a lot of people who are still relying on me to give answers.
Right. Now, how does work get done today? Anywhere from 1, you're barely running the nitty-gritty of the day-to-day, to 5, there's a strategic driver, conductor of the orchestra, who oversees the executives.
Let's put it right there in the middle at a 3.
Okay. Now, do you have 1 or 2 people who are single points of failure? What would happen if they suddenly got sick or left? Anywhere from 1, we would immediately go into crisis mode, to 5, we would manage perfectly well. Knowledge and processes are well distributed.
Yeah, I would guess that at a team this size that, any one of our leadership team members, we've probably got a couple of them in particular that would be critical / bottlenecks. And if they were gone, it would be a huge rebuilding process. I actually saw this with another much larger daycare that had some folks in their leadership team leave in the process of doing some acquisitions. And it created a real big poop storm, we'll call it, and had a lot of work. So I'm going to put it at a 1. We go into crisis mode.
Now, what is the status of process in your business? Anywhere from 1, we've talked about someday having a process, to 5, our processes are documented, well trained, and followed, and consistently optimized.
Well, I'm gonna put it right there in the middle. I'm somebody who really appreciates and enjoys processes, but I'm going to guess, getting to this size, that one of the reasons I'm looking for some help is those processes are probably not serving us as well as they did when we were smaller, and we're not doing a great job teaching them and training them to the rest of the staff. So yeah, probably somewhere in the middle there.
Okay. Now, where are things with culture and people development? From anywhere from 1, too underwater to focus on that yet, to 5, regularly assess team health and intentionally lift the ceiling of all leaders and team members. Let's
say that our culture is pretty good. Let's put it at a 4. Definitely, always room for improvement, but feel like we're doing well there.
All right. And are you having real conversations about financials? Anywhere from 1, can't because we don't know or won't share because it's scary, to 5, we understand our reality and are proactive and strategic.
I'm going to put that one right in the middle. We're at a 3. Like, we've got some idea of what's going on, but talking with somebody who really knows how to analyze a P&L and a balance sheet and tell us where there are some opportunities would probably be really helpful for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what is the current pace of growth? Anywhere from stagnant, 1, stagnant and going backward, to 5, on track for massive growth, 10x.
Leave it there at a 3. Like we're doing all right, we're profitable, but we want
Right.
to pour some gas on this
Want to be
fire.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love gasoline. Like I said, we love ambition. Whatever that ambition is about. I mean, some of it's very idealistic, but it's just, people that want to 10x qualitatively, quantitatively. That's a great
That's
fit.
your ideal client. Yeah.
Are the long-term goals of your business consistently part of your conversations? Anywhere from 1, head down, focus on the day-to-day to ensure survival, to 5, we update the strategy at regular intervals and are on target.
I would say this is an area where we could use a lot of help. I would put that at a 1. Yeah, we're really focused on the day-to-day, and
Right.
we need some help stepping back to work on that big picture.
All right, so let's ask some questions now. The last set of questions is about your COO or integrator that you currently have.
Okay.
So does your integrator give you the feeling that they're driving the business? Anywhere from 1, at the end of the day, it's still all me to drive us forward, to 5, they're in the driver's seat driving us towards our goals.
Well, I hate to throw them under the bus, but I'm going to give it about a 2. I think we can do a lot better in this area.
Okay. Does your integrator know how to extract a story from your financials and collaborate with financial leaders to build a financial strategy? Anywhere from 1, no financial acumen, to 5, narrates and strategizes.
I would say a 3. Doing okay, but we've got definite room for improvement here.
Mm-hmm. Now, does your integrator or COO create a roadmap that they know will turn strategic objectives into reality? Anywhere from 1, process for process sake, roadmap was completed, to 5, imposes their will on the process to achieve the outcome.
Well, considering that I feel like we don't really have great strategic objectives for that long-term growth, I'm going to put this at about a 2. And, as we're going through this, Ben, I'm realizing like somebody has to come into this process ready to be totally honest with themselves and where they are, right? It's not about, you can't wear the hat of, and we're doing this in sort of a public setting, and it certainly helps that I'm giving answers for a hypothetical company that, I'm not a part of, because it would be difficult to do this in front of other folks, or sometimes even difficult to do directly yourself, because you've got to be really honest with, where you're at and where your gaps and your holes are. So people listening who are going to, go and check this tool out, just, kind of go into that with, let's put the ego aside and let's be honest about, where we are right now. So, okay, next question.
Yeah, especially where you're the one taking it, the owner is also sitting and trying to fill this COO or integrator seat as part of their role in the business. So they're assessing themselves in that. And yes, no one else, it's not public like us, right? Like the other people may not see this. But yeah, it still could be hard to answer the question even in private, if you're realizing that, I guess the question is, though, are you serious about the things you want for your business? Let's put aside your assessment of yourself or your assessment of your team members. Are you serious about what you want for yourself? You say you want to get out of the day to day, or you want to spend more time with your family, or you say you want to make this kind of impact on the clients, and we're just not delivering well. Whatever it is that is your passion or your cause. If you're not getting that, or if you want to be able to be ready for exit and sell for a good multiple in 5 years, are you just wishing? Are you just wish is not a strategy, hope is not a strategy, as they say? Are you serious about it? And so, yeah, it's a great point you're making. We have to, if we really are serious about wanting the things that we want, forget about ego for a second. It's you who wants the thing, not me. It doesn't hurt me if you don't achieve your goals. It might hurt your team, might hurt their families, it might hurt yourself, might hurt your family, but it doesn't, no skin off my back personally.
Yeah.
But it's, are you serious about the things that you want?
I would think of this almost like a health assessment. You're going to the doctor and you're sick. You don't want to lie about that, right? You put in bad information, you're going to get bad help. You're going to get bad treatment back. So got to be honest about where it hurts, where the illness is, where the sickness is.
Yeah.
All right.
So next question, does your integrator challenge you and refine your vision while providing feedback to improve your leadership? Anywhere from 1, yields to you, doesn't challenge you, to 5, it's on your level. They improve and expand your abilities.
Man, I wish I was getting challenged a lot more from them. They followed my lead for a long time, and I think that's a pattern that we've developed. So I would say we're at about a 2 there.
Okay. Does your integrator proactively innovate to solve problems and capitalize on opportunity? Anywhere from 1, reactive and protects the status quo, to 5, proactively drives change and innovation.
I would say we're probably at about a 3 there. There's some ideas that are coming out, but we've got room for improvement.
Okay. Now, do they level up your leadership team? Anywhere from 1, allows plateaus at middle manager, to 5, unlocks full potential to turn them into true executives, quote unquote.
Let's go with a 4. I think that they're pretty good at spotting talent and helping them move along and finding the right training for them and encouraging them.
Awesome. Does your integrator break through obstacles to achieve goals? Anywhere from 1, makes reasonable excuses, to 5, drives to completion regardless of obstacles.
No, they're pretty determined. They're maybe not helping us drive to those long-term strategic visions that we've not done a great job of outlining, but what's put in front of them, they do a pretty good job. So I'll say about a 4 there.
Okay. And does your integrator channel your strengths and call you up to your highest and best use? Anywhere from 1, leaves you or puts you on a shelf, to 5, unleashes and channels you.
A 3. Yeah, I could use a little bit more of a kick in the butt there.
Okay. Now, does your integrator or COO use a business operating system like EOS, or there's definitely others out there, to achieve your goals? Anywhere from 1, doesn't even run the meetings consistently, to 3, it's the only one that has 3 kind of guides, but to 3, facilitator, runs meetings well, to 5, leverages the system and experience to accelerate business towards your goals.
We're solidly at a 3 there. The meetings are run efficiently, but we're not driving that big long-term growth.
Got it. All right. Your assessment is complete.
All right.
Now, it could take up to 5 minutes because of the way the technology works on the back end.
Okay.
For me to get the results. So, shall we maybe go over some of the underlying business stage levels and the integrator levels while we wait for these results?
I think that would be helpful. Yeah. I think you were telling me that you may have a visual there that you can bring up that'll kind of help people understand this a little bit better.
All right. So you can see this. All right. Okay. So for those with the video, I'm going to, do this with verbal as well. So hopefully we can have some value for those who are listening on the other side as well. But yeah, so, Anthony, as we spoke about before, this assessment sort of came from a discovery that there's different levels of business growth, and that different people, different business owners are going to need a different level of integrator to achieve their goals, depending on the stage where they are and the stage that they want to get to. That's simply put, that's what the assessment is about. And that we also realized that because there's not only one level of integrator, it's not like there's a right integrator and a wrong integrator, or a good integrator and a bad integrator, or like pros and cons. Here are the strengths and weaknesses of different things. What we realized is that if you just need the right level of integrator that's the right level for your stage of business, and that person may not be the right stage for a later, may not be the right fit for you at a later stage of development. But by the same token, if you get a, quote unquote, higher level integrator at a point when you need, a quote unquote lower level integrator, it's going to serve you badly. You're going to not achieve your goals. You're going to face frustration just like you would if you did the reverse, excuse me. So I guess what we realized, if you look at the top half of the page for those seeing the visual, is that there are 4 different levels or 4 different stages of business growth, right? 1 on the left side is survival. That's just like where you're barely surviving the day-to-day. You're staving off catastrophe all the time, barely struggling and keeping the day-to-day going. The second business stage is what we call owner dependent. That's where that's a stage where you've gotten past the chaos, right? You've gotten past that staving off catastrophe phase, which is amazing news, and it's a great advancement. But it still means that the owner is pulling all the levers, making all the things happen. If the owner would step away for a couple of weeks without email, I mean, things would probably move backwards or at least not move forwards. But just everything's completely owner dependent. And so it's at least that's not chaos, but it's a job. It's a big job. It's a long hours job. It's a job. But again, it's beyond the chaos. And the third level is what we call incremental growth, right? That's where you do have other drivers in the business. You have people that are, to one extent or another, also driving parts of the business. Things are growing, things are incrementally improving. And that's wonderful. And some people, like, this is their end goal, like they want to get to this point. And then there's others, some who really want to scale. It's the fourth stage of business growth, which is which is people who just want to 10x. They want to make massive growth. They want to open up another 10 daycares. I want to turn it into a franchise. I want to whatever. Like they want to, or they want to buy another 3 franchise units or whatever. But the goal is to scale in one extent or another. So that's the fourth thing. And what we realize is that there's different levels of integrator, and each one is right for different businesses, different stages. Now, when you're at survival, like if you don't have a great VP of ops, if you don't have somebody that's good for, as what we call an operational integrator, or someone who can just heads down, get stuff done, just like, good at just like driving and getting things done. If you don't have a great person to do that, to probably also, besides integrator, really sit in that VP of ops seat or that head of operations seat, then it's on you to do it. I mean, you're never going to get out of anything. If you can't focus on growing the business at all, you can't focus on it on any major improvements or innovations. If you're just trying to make sure each individual order is getting out and getting done every day, that's it's just not going to happen. You need a great person in that role. And if you try to get some fancier person than what you need, and what you really need is an operational leader, just someone to run ops, then you're not going to be well served with that. You need that operational person in order to get to any of the other phases. And even an executive or conductor, they still need that operational person in place as well, even if you had these other levels of integrator.
And Ben, do you think it's possible for that operational level of integrator to be a fractional, or is that typically somebody who is entrenched there full time?
Yeah, vast majority of the time, I would agree with you that it needs to be full time. I would say that is majority of the time. I think there's certain exceptions. I do know. Look, you look online. There's people who build themselves as fractional head of operations. And I think that, and it's interesting. I use the term COO to mean the one who's running the company, but as you may have come across this as well, a lot of people out there use the term COO to mean VP of Ops, just head of operations, which is that one seat below the one who's running the company, right? So there is a difference in terminology that some people use, but I think the majority of the time it's operational does need to be full time. I would agree with you. Although there are those who do it fractionally. Oftentimes those people are doing it 2 to 3 days a week, though. They're doing just like a lot more hours in their engagement because they're just a lot more in the weeds of everything that happens on the day to day. And so I think that there are those who do this on a fractional basis, but it's usually does need to be full time.
Okay.
Middle level of integrator is we call conductor. Right? They got that image on the screen of a conductor of an orchestra because that's what they are. They're not playing an instrument because if they're fractional, at least they're not playing an instrument. If they're full time, they may be playing an instrument while they're wearing a different hat, but in their integrator hat, they're not, or in their COO hat, they're not playing an instrument. And they're just ensuring they're installing structure in the business. Welcome to structure, right? If you did everything, you grew up to where you got to through maximum agility, maximum of everybody doing everything anytime, all the time, to you get to a certain level of growth and certain level of scale, and that just stops working. It just creates more and more chaos. Customers stop getting the results that you want them to expect, that you want them to receive, and things just stop working. And ultimately, you're going to need some conductor of the orchestra. You need somebody that's installing structure, processes, running the leadership team meetings, ensuring that your business operating system, whether it's scaling up or EOS or a system in Soul or next level nonprofit or something else, that your business operating system is actually working, and that that it's being used, that metrics are being used, measurables are being used. They're creating accountability, supporting the leadership team, and through them, the rest of the team the rest of the team or the employees beneath them. They're ensuring that they're just ensuring that everybody's playing the same sheet of music at the same tempo as each other, that everybody's acting in concert with each other, that nobody's acting in their little fiefdom where what sales is doing is conflicting with operations, what operations is doing is conflicting with marketing, not doing what was promised, like that everybody's playing from the same sheet of music. And there's tremendous value that's needed, and that provides for the company that needs it. And if a company wants to get from survival to, well, first owner dependent and then even to incremental growth, you're going to need a conductor integrator. I mean, at some point, you need that operational person in place, but you need somebody, either if they can elevate themselves or help be elevated through support, they could get to the point where they can become a conductor integrator, then amazing. But if they're not able to get there, or if they're not getting there, then bring a conductor integrator in, whether full-time or fractional, to, they can get you up to owner dependent, they can get you to incremental growth. And then the third level of integrators for those that really want to scale. And again, you can start at a very early stage of the company if you just want to move really fast, if you've got the money to invest in it, but bring in an executive integrator. That's the third level. That's somebody that's not just able to install structure, create accountability, keep everybody playing the same sheet of music, but also have like a major opinion about things, right? The executive integrator is somebody they've done this before. Wherever you want to take the business, they've done that in business before, and they're able to take where you want to go, take where you are now, chart a path, chart a roadmap to get there. And say, okay, this is the things you need to do if you want to get to that destination that you described. Here's how you get there.
And so most of your fractionals have been at that executive level up until now, right? And what the insight is that, you shared with us before about, sort of doing some self-reflection about where you guys were, why you weren't getting the close rates that you wanted, is that you needed to add that conductor level of fractional too. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And we recently innovated not only by creating this assessment to help us see and help business owners, even if they're not talking to us, see what kind of integrator they have, what kind of integrator they need to get to the goals that they say they have, is that we realize that if we want to help, the plurality of people that we come across need that conductor integrator, not the executive integrator. And that's what we came to realize. So we added a group of conductor integrators to our team. And now we're able to help with both, right? Wolves Edge Integrators is now able to help with those who need an executive integrator, those with just a much more substantive experience to able to just like really help you move much faster towards your goals, not to have to experiment. But somebody who can see the path from where you are to where you want to get to, and obviously not as a dictator, but through collaborative conversation, paint that roadmap, paint that order of operations, what goes first, what goes second, what goes third. Work together with the team to get everybody aligned on whatever the plan is, adjust, get alignment on it, then drive execution. That's an executive integrator necessary for that scale stage. That's really a question at each stage of what's the right fit for your business and where it needs to be. And so the assessment's telling some people, hey, you may be at survival stage and you've got an operational integrator, right? But it'll tell you want, based on your answers, you want to get to scale. And you're not going to get there with that operational integrator. You need to bring on an executive integrator, let's say.
Okay, Ben, the suspense is killing me.
Okay.
Do you think the results are ready yet?
I think the results are ready. All right. Yeah. Oh, here they are. Okay. Just going to pull up.
This will be interesting for, our listeners, our watchers, our viewers to experience is, they put a few minutes into opening up their hearts and souls to your tool. What can they expect in response then?
Well, this is an email that they'll get.
Okay.
And there's about 192 different permutations that people might, the people that come out of in the back end based on people's results. But anyway, we do a bunch of math on the back end, and this is what it's coming up with for you. So I'm interested to hear, does this resonate? But your integrator assessment result, there's more to discuss here. Schedule a meeting to review your results. I guess we have sort of an undecided result that it sounds like. So,
which makes sense because I'm giving made up answers, right? So
maybe that's why
there's a lack of continuity in what I'm describing.
So that it could be. So where you are today, and sometimes if there's that lack of continuity, sometimes that'll sort of flag, hey, there's something about these results that don't make sense, and so we reflect that in the results. But your stage today, incremental growth. You just sort of click on the pop up. It tells you what incremental growth means.
Okay.
Well, we already discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
You currently have an operational integrator. That's what it's saying.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense from a lot of the answers that I gave. Yeah.
Okay. So what you're experiencing, there's a mild disconnect in your results that is worthy of note. You scored your integrator as an operational integrator, which is in general incapable of guiding an organization to the stage that you're already in, meaning incremental growth. So you might be growing consistently, but is it coming as a great sacrifice of your time and energy?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that you're filling in the gaps of that person. You're possibly covering up for some of the weaknesses in your integrator to keep the business healthy. Make sure your integrator is moving things off your plate and truly freeing you up. Your future state, you want to get to incremental growth, which is already where you are. You need a conductor integrator to get there.
That's the next stage for me.
It's not what you have, right? That would be the middle stage. That's what it's saying. That's what it's recommending for you. What change feels like. You're the main driver, and while you're growing consistently, it might be tending towards burnout. Imagine having the same kind of growth, but without the backbreaking efforts. Focus on other passion projects, other facets of the business, or even spend time in other areas of your life.
Okay.
Action items, schedule a consult call if you're curious about reviewing your results.
And so what does that look like? If I want to schedule a call, am I talking with you or one of your other executive fractionals? What does that call kind of look and feel like?
So as of now, you'd be having a call with me. I believe it's a half hour. If we're discussing results rather than a discovery call, then it's a half hour call. And if after that call we realize, hey, I already know a great recruiter, I want to bring on somebody full time as a conductor integrator, great. Use this knowledge, print this out, use this knowledge and information and help find that person. If you want us to help you find, we could have somebody, on your team in 2 to 3 weeks, who's a conductor integrator. So we can, just schedule that discovery call, or if we have enough time, maybe we could do it right then. But if there's no time, we could schedule another time, do a full blown discovery call, take your results into account. I could see all your answers in the back end, so you don't have to, we don't.
And that's the benefit of having this tool in place before the call, because you've got a lot of really helpful data about where they are before you ever even get on the call. It can help to make that call even more efficient. And I know before we went live with today's recording, then you were sharing with me. It sounds fantastic. Like there's been just a lot of interest in Wolf's Edge since this tool came out. Do you guys have, you've had a lot more inquiries coming in, more, new client leads. Do you guys have the bandwidth to handle, more folks that might fill this out and have an interest in working with you?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, we brought on 3 new people about a month ago, and I'm currently in the process of recruiting some more now, because we've seen, we have certain backgrounds that I think are not sufficiently represented on the team. So we were looking for maybe 1 or 2 more as of now. But yeah, we're ready for it, and we could talk to people. We've got our CRO could take additional excess capacity for these calls if I hit capacity. So we should be able to help, and they can see. I'm just pulling this up here. When you look at your results page, there's another PDF that it allows you to do, which kind of goes even more in depth than what I shared with you. I shared with you that screen, that sort of like 1-page screen that showed the 4 business levels and the 3 levels of integrator. But when you go on your results page, you can actually download this PDF that gives you all that information, right? Just it downloads with a little more detail. What are the 4 business stages? Gives you a little data about what some of the people taking the MOA so far are indicating. So you get a little data about where you fit into others that are taking this.
Sorry, I missed. What is MOA?
I'm sorry. MOA is what we call the assessment.
Okay.
It's kind of a joke. It stands for Mother of All Assessments, MOAA. That's what this assessment is called. So that's the name of this assessment.
That's great.
Sorry.
That's great.
I forgot to explain it. But anyway, so the 3 levels of integrator are the 4 levels of business growth.
Yeah. This has been really terrific. Ben, I've got one more question for you, but before I get to that, since we covered a lot of ground here, is there anything else that you want to say about the tool? Something we didn't ask the right questions to get to yet?
I would just say that if you've got a business and you're struggling with just kind of like seeing the same issues month after month, quarter after quarter. You're not sure what's causing it. Look, I mean, the one who's supposed to be in the driver's seat of your business, your COO or integrator, and again, that could be another human, or it could be you. It could be you as the business owner who are de facto sitting in that seat. If you have no one else running the business, then it is you. And it could be enlightening to take this assessment. Again, it's wolfsedgeintegrators.com/assessment. It should be available on the front page at some point soon. I'm not sure if it already is, but wolfsedgeintegrators.com/assessment. Take this, as Anthony said, with an open mind. Be mindful of the fact that some of these things might be painful to answer the questions. The way we came up with these questions, by the way, we've been working on this for months. And the way we came up with the questions was we've got a team of experienced COOs on the team here, right? So we're just leveraging them, and we're saying, what are the things that tell you? We could ask like one thing, and it just tells you this whole story. Like for instance, that's that question about, do you feel like the integrator is driving the business, or like really behind the scenes it's you driving everything, and you're kind of having to like follow up and ask and ask and ask and ask, and you're sort of behind the scenes pushing? Or are they really driving and just like coming to you, Steve Jobs, I heard quoted as saying that I don't hire people to tell them what to do. I hire people for them to tell me what to do. Right? Meaning, who's driving? Like if they're fully owning, like for the integrator, they're fully owning the running of the business. If same thing applies in any other role. If you find someone to run sales, I don't want to hire someone to run sales and then tell them how to run sales. I want them to tell me how to run sales, and whatever they need from me, or whatever decisions they need from me, let them just be like pulling out of me whatever decisions they need, so that they can run things. And so, if you feel like, if we just said, like, if you just ask somebody, like, do you feel like they're driving the car, or are you really driving the car and just kind of they're sitting in the driver's seat and you're kind of like having over their shoulder, grabbing the wheel? And so that's like one of these things that's just going to tell you a lot from little questions. And so that's what the team did. They just kind of leveraged all of their experience, and they we came up with lots of questions, kind of narrowed it down, combined, keep, kill, combine, got it narrowed down, and I tried to come up with with a minimum number of questions that we thought could give accurate results to answer the questions that we're trying to help people answer.
And that's the great thing about having sort of that panel of experts, those, that built-in mastermind that I was talking about, is that you're pulling on so many people's multiple years of experiences to construct this tool. I think that's great. So before I ask the last question, Ben, for those people listening and or watching today, if you like today's content, please hit the subscribe, like, or share button on your favorite podcast app. And then the last question I have for you, Ben, is if I were to check in with you 1 year from now, what will we be celebrating in regards to the release of this tool? What's your hope?
Celebrating for this tool, I don't know. I hope we have a few thousand people that have taken it by then, and we'll have a lot of good data that we could share with the world about, the state of small and mid-sized business, and how well they're doing, I mean, I would hope Wolf's Edge Integrators is able to say that, maybe we've hit our big, kind of core target of getting to helping 140 companies at a time with 50 team members. We've got 9 now, looking to add one or two. I'd love to be at 50 team members helping 140 companies at a time with an average company size of 40 people. That would be 5,600 lives that we would be able to be affecting. Employees that are hopefully no longer completely stressed out and being taken on whiplash journey by their business owner with all the new ideas that come along every couple of months, but is able to have a better life, a less stressful life, smoother life, able to everybody wants to be successful in their job, and able to feel like they're making a difference, doing whatever their business does for people best, supporting their families, paying their mortgages. I don't know, 5,600 people. I think that's pretty exciting. And it's just the tip of the iceberg too. So like, that's just the first core target, but
I think those
are, I don't know if a year is reasonable for that,
okay.
But we would love to be celebrating that, not too long later.
I think those are a lot of great goals to have and pretty exciting. It would be interesting to have folks, who took this assessment early, take it again, a year after they've been working with you, or, put somebody into that role and see how those scores compare.
Yeah. It might be helpful, actually, sort of just reflecting, to have not just a bottom line recommendation or a bottom line assessment, but it would be cool to have maybe some sort of numerical score, where then it would be easier to kind of use for that use case. And I agree with you that use case is would be very valuable to like give somebody this, to create accountability for ourselves too. We come in here, you've been working with us for a year. We give you this assessment again. I would hope that you're rating your integrator higher, like at least at the level that we say they're supposed to be.
And that's something you can use in your own marketing, right? Like we're helping people increase their MOA score by, an average of 15 percentage points in a year, something like that. Well, as you can see, folks, it's an amazing tool as it exists today. Go and check it out. Again, wolfsedgeintegrators.com. Oh, and I just clicked off the page /assessment. And but you can hear there's already new ideas being thrown about on this call, and obviously Ben and his team have got a lot more ideas behind the scenes that they're discussing, and so it'll be fun to track the progress of this. Well, Ben, I want to be the first one to thank you for sharing both your time and your story and the MOA with us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. I appreciate you making the time. Appreciate you sharing it with the world. I look forward to amplifying our conversation today, and just appreciate the time that the time that you set aside for this, commenting on the LinkedIn stuff that started this conversation. So I'm just grateful for you, Anthony. Thank you.
Absolutely, folks. That's a wrap on another episode of the Inspired Stories podcast. Thanks for learning with us today.